Bill, I'd love to follow up with you in a couple months and just see if maybe hopefully the things have simmered down a little bit, and if not, get an update on what's going on again in the worldwide situation here.
Sure.
And Mr. Bill Gertz, we really appreciate your time here on the Financial Safari.
Thanks very much for having me.
And folks, we'll be right back after this.
What should be the number one concern for most retirees and pre-retirees looking for future financial stability? Income planning. It means making sure that your money can support you and your family for the rest of your lives in the most efficient manner possible. Sitting down with a retirement planning specialist can make all the difference.
In Birmingham and surrounding areas, call Tad Hill, president of Freedom Financial Group, 800-929-4077. That's 800-929-4077.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Financial Safari, where we try to help you make sense of financial issues, and we do it in a way that you can actually understand. Now, each week we talk with our local trusted advisors across the country, and in Birmingham, Alabama, we go to Freedom Financial Group, and we talk with their president, Tad Hill. At any point, if you would like to speak with Tad, it's very simple. Here's his phone number. It's 800-929-4077. That's 800-929-4077. Well, Tad, earlier we were talking about how you have a retirement plan and how you go about getting a retirement plan. But can you give us some examples of perhaps some of the people you've helped and some of the people that you've talked with in the past?
Absolutely. There was a couple came in last week. They were from Indian Springs, which is right near where our office is. And he was still working, and she would have liked to have been, but she had just lost her job. Now, unfortunately, this is a theme that I'm seeing more and more regularly. People in their 50s, maybe even early 60s, who have had retirement forced on them. They thought they had a little bit more time to plan, and so they had delayed some of the things that they knew they should have done, and now it was forced on them. So when we sat down, I asked them, I said, look, what's most important to you? And they said the thing that I hear most frequently, which is we want to make sure that we can sustain our lifestyle and that we're not going to run out of money in retirement, and we want to be able to do it in a way where we can sleep at night. I said, okay, well, what does that mean to you? When you say you want to be able to sleep at night, what does that mean? They said, well, we went through 01 and 02 after the tech bubble crash in 9/11, and we hung in there. Then we went through 08, and we hung in there again because we knew we had some years left in our working life. But now, this is the woman talking, I've lost my job. And the man said, yeah, and we really relied on her income for a lot of things. So we just want to plan. We want to know where we are. We want to know what happens from this point forward and how we can protect ourselves. And I said, okay, well, you're working with a broker now. Just out of curiosity, when you've asked him these questions, what has his answer been? They said, well, he just said we're diversified. We've got some 4- and 5-star mutual funds, and everything should be fine. And I said, well, what are those mutual funds designed to accomplish? Well, I guess they're designed to accomplish growth. Now, Donna, is growth a bad thing?
Well, no, it's definitely not a bad thing.
But if we're investing our dollars for maximum growth, what comes along with it?
Well, there's got to be some downside risk.
Maximum risk, right?
Yep.
So are growth investments the only types of investments that we should have?
Well, no, you better get some other things in there to kind of assure that you're balancing out that risk.
Right. So I said, well, what about income investments? What kind of income investments do you have? And he said, well, we've got these bond funds. It's funny that you say this. I went to my broker about a year or two ago, and I said, look, I'm just not comfortable with what happened in 08. I want to protect our investments better. And his response to that was, we put our money in some bond mutual funds. And I said, okay, well, bond funds have done really well over the last 30 years because bond funds are going to rise when interest rates are dropping. So what's been happening over the last 30 years to interest rates?
They've been going down.
They have, and where are they now?
They're about as low as they can possibly get.
You know, I suppose the 10-year Treasury could get lower than 1.6%, but, I mean, we are at historical lows. So I said to him, okay, well, that's done well over the last couple of years. What's your broker strategy for when interest rates start going up? And he said, well, I don't know. We've never discussed it. Now, let me ask you a question, Donna. If you have worked with a professional, let's say you've got a doctor or a lawyer or a financial planner, and you've worked with them for a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you've worked with them for any length of time, do you think they've had the opportunity to ask you the questions that they think are important to ask?
Well, I would think that that would be the beginning of your relationship, that they would be asking you some questions.
Right. Maybe even before they've worked with you for 5 or 10 years, they might ask some questions prior to that.
Exactly.
And if they've implemented a strategy, do you think it's safe to say that they've implemented the strategy that they think is in your best interest?
Well, after about 5 or 10 years, I think we want to think it's in our best interest, but I'm beginning to think it's in their best interest.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think after 5 or 10 years, they've had the chance to implement whatever they think is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what these people were telling me was, I don't want that kind of risk. We want to know that we can generate our income in retirement. We want to know that it's going to be predictable. We are worried about inflation, so I don't want to ignore that. We want to solve for inflation, but we want to know that we're going to be able to pay the bills first and foremost. We did our retirement roadmap review. When we looked at their portfolio, because we have a software package that will tell you how much downside risk is in your current investments. When we looked at the amount of downside risk that they had in their investments if we went through another 08, what do you think the percentage was?
Oh, I can't even guess.
It was a little over 40%.
Really?
Now, these folks had done a good job of saving for retirement. They had a little over $1 million in their IRAs. And when I said, well, you know, based upon your current holdings, if we went through another 2008, you'd be down about 41, 42%. They said, wow, that's exactly what we were down in 08. And I said, okay, so what's changed? Nothing. Here's what most people's retirement plan consists of. We've got a big barrel of odds and ends of mutual funds that are designed to do different things. We're diversified, yippee, and we're going to take some percentage of our investments out every year. And let's just hope that over the 25 years of our retirement, we don't go through another 01, 02, or 08. Now, I know the chances of that happening are probably really slim, right? We're probably never going to have another market crash. Certainly not in the next 25 years. So that's what we were able to do for these folks, put together a plan that protects their retirement. Make sure that we have things earmarked for inflation, but that we have some intelligence built into the design, not some barrel of odds and ends and hope for the best. And, you know, that's what our retirement roadmap review process does. You asked me, can you give me an example of somebody that you've worked with recently? This is a prime example of people that came in, they knew exactly what they wanted, they just weren't sure how to do it. And when I asked them what their current broker had been doing for them, we found out that really, like a lot of people, they had filled out a risk tolerance questionnaire, and that's about the extent of the questions that got asked. So if you're listening today and you'd like to know for your specific circumstances the answers to the questions we've been asking, be one of the first 5 callers, and I'll set aside time on my calendar so that you can receive completely free our retirement roadmap review. This is the review that we were just talking about. We do require that you have a minimum of $250,000 of investable assets, but if so, I'm willing to do this at no cost and no obligation to you. The review will take place in our office on the corner of Valleydale and Caldwell Mill Road in Indian Springs. The purpose of this review is so that you can fully understand how your financial life is really structured and if there are additional strategies that you and your family could benefit from. My process is designed to ask questions that no one has ever asked you before, to uncover critical information that may have been missing in the past that needs to be part of your decision-making process, and to get the answers to these questions before we start talking about what strategies to implement. In other words, to uncover all of the must-know facts for your situation. Listen, if there's something going on in your life financially that could potentially cause you or your family real problems, either now or in the future, when would you want to find that out? Now? Next week? 5 years from now? Never? Examples of these types of problems that I see regularly are more downside risk in your portfolio than you were aware of, extreme exposure to the bond bubble, that's a big one right now, paying too much in fees and taxes, not having a process to determine exactly what you need from your investments to sustain your lifestyle, or worse, already having investments that aren't designed to accomplish what's most important to you. The good news is that after going through our retirement roadmap review, you will have a clear picture of whether any of these things are happening to you, and if so, what you can do to take control of your financial future, both for yourself and your family. We will answer every single one of these questions for you and suggest strategies that are designed to create peace of mind so that you can enjoy your retirement and know that you've done all the things necessary to protect not only yourself and your spouse, but maximize your legacy for your children and grandchildren. So, for the first 5 callers who call in today and have a minimum of $250,000 in investable assets, an opportunity to receive our retirement roadmap review absolutely free with no cost and no obligation.
Now, folks, this is for retirees and pre-retirees. It's just common sense planning and straight talk to get you through retirement without worry. Tad can explain where you are, and most importantly, he can help you get to where you want to be. Here's the number to give him a call. It's 800-929-4077. That's 800-929-4077 for Tad Hill, Freedom Financial Group in Birmingham, Alabama. Tad, as always, lots of good information, and always enjoy talking to you. We'll talk again next week.
Can't wait till next week. See you then.
Okay, everybody stay with us because we'll have more on the Financial Safari in just a moment.
Do you feel the financial markets have managed to gain some type of stability? Don't mistake a short period of market stability for safety. If you haven't been listening to the Financial Safari, your investments and your future financial security could still be at risk. Sitting down with a retirement planning specialist can make all the difference.
In the Birmingham area, call Tad Hill, president of Freedom Financial Group, at 800-929-4077. That's 800-929-4077. And welcome back to the Financial Safari, everyone, and it's time for our favorite part of the show. Of course, it's time to spin the
Wheel of Questions.
All right, Donna, I think you're up first again this week. Good spin to start it out.
Now, I think we need to say that we're using email questions, right?
Right. Every question this week was an email question to financialsafari.com. So, folks, we invite you to go to financialsafari.com, find the page that will allow you to submit a question to the team from the Financial Safari, and we'll put it on the wheel of questions. And if it lands on your number, we will select that question to ask on the show.
There you go. And this is number 17, and I'll tell you, they're coming in from all over. This one is from Roy in Kalamazoo. He says, I am not 59 and a half yet, but I might need to take my money out of my Roth IRA. Am I going to get hit with paying taxes and huge penalties?
And that was Roy?
Yes, Roy in Kalamazoo.
And he didn't say how old he was. He just said he wasn't 59
He's
and a half.
He's not
right?
quite 59
Okay.
and a half.
Okay, well, it's been good to know his age, his real age now, but it doesn't matter. Any money that he put into the Roth IRA, Donna, he can take out without any penalty or taxation. So if you put in, let's say, he didn't say how much he had put in either, did he?
No, he didn't really get
Let's just use the
specific.
example. Maybe he put in $10,000 into his Roth IRA, and let's say it's grown to 20 now.
Okay.
He can take out $10,000 because that's what he put in, take it out tax-free and penalty-free. Okay, so he does have some money. A lot of people actually put money in Roth IRAs for college education for the children. The money they put in, they can take out for the college education, and then the rest of the money that they've gained in there, they leave it alone and they turn that into a retirement account for the kids in the future or themselves.
So you can take it out of the contributions, but if you take it out of the earnings, that's when you get hit with the tax and
10% penalty and the tax if you take out the earnings. Correct.
Okay.
But good point. Good point, Roy. Good question.
All right, so good question from Roy. And don't forget, folks, you can ask your questions once again